I don't.
I'm David. Oh, sorry. I'm not filling, David.
That's okay, that's okay.
I think that's everybody that I'm expecting, so.
Well, right, it's 3:01, so let's get started. I wanted to remind everybody that we are recording this, and I'm here in wonderful downtown vevay, and it's a pleasure to be here. And we'll have a couple opportunities to talk about the town, but first I wanted to introduce Andrea, who is gonna give us an official welcome, and then we want to have everybody else say who they are, and the assignment is, where's one place in Switzerland County or vevay that you want to take people to when out of town visitors go? So you're on, Andrea.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to vevay, digitally, virtually. We are very happy to have you guys here. We've been working on this now for over a year. I think it's probably been more than a year, actually. Yeah. So we're very pleased to get outsiders' opinions and viewpoints on our little town. Everybody here is in some capacity an elected or appointed or an elected official or an employee of tourism. So we are very pleased that you can join us in our tech center, which is one of our lovely buildings here in Switzerland County that's used a lot for this kind of thing. We have great technology to be able to do this in our little town.
Great.
Welcome.
I'm John Charles Smith. I'm the Executive Director of Switzerland County Tourism and formerly with the Park Service in DC. So it's nice to have Park Service people involved in this.
Where would you take somebody?
Oh, where would I take somebody? The people that I have out, because my background's in preservation, Musée de Venoge has been a real source of interest as a French colonial. And I was involved in that before going to DC. I was involved in it when they first discovered it when I was the director of the State Preservation Office. So that's someplace I would take them that's really unique nationally.
Oh, thanks.
Actually, it's.
Oh, you're on.
You're on.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm Matt Hochner. I'm currently the president of the tourism board. Been in Switzerland County since 1974. I'm also an attorney here. Where would I take someone? I would probably take them. I like to walk people down Market Street, which is our street to where we have one beautiful old home after another, including a mansion that Lisa lives in at the moment. They're antebellum. A lot of the town is that old, and it's just a nice shaded walk right along as you can see the river behind the houses, and that's one of the places that we could go.
I'm Lisa Fisher. I am a county council vice president and business owner here in Switzerland County, and I do live on Market Street, one of the historic homes. I'm a historic home lover, building lover. It doesn't have to be a home, it could be a barn, whatever, the historic buildings. I love those a lot. So when I have visitors come in from out of town, I usually take them to the river, from the extent of the river, from Patriot to Lamb. And I'll drive, because it's beautiful. It's beautiful. There's beautiful homes all along from Patriot to Lamb. And that's my favorite place to show new people.
John Bond, president of the Switzerland County Economic Development Corporation. Been here in this position for about 16 years. Grew up in Switzerland County and lived here most of my life. Lived in Indianapolis for a few years. Usually, when I've got company in town, I'm usually taking them out to eat, and we've got some great options. Moe's is our steakhouse in town. That's usually my favorite place to take people. But I grew up on the river, so as far as scenery, that's usually what I'll take people to. We've got some nice commercial marinas in the community, and a couple of public boat launches also that we're pretty proud of. One that the county actually made an investment in a few years ago. That are some good spots to see.
I'm Tony Ryder. I sit on the Patriot Town Board. I've been there basically about my whole life. When I have visitors come to my town, I like to show them our park, which we're really proud of. Our deck that's built on our town hall is really nice, the gazebo there, and also the Patriot boat docks. I'm enjoying that too.
Well, that's who's here. I don't think we have anybody on Zoom from
They're gonna-
outside.
Look at it after the fact.
And so we are recording this, and a few housekeeping tools. There is a chat feature down at the bottom, and we'd like to have everybody type in their name and who they're from. And if you don't have a computer or it's not up, Andrea has agreed to be scribe and write anything down. But we are recording this, and so another purpose of the chat is to just sort of record any thoughts, because we do save that whole chat. Just briefly, to put this in context, this is a third part of the Rivertown Review. The first part was a digital guide, or no, it was a desktop review where we had maybe 15 people look at vevay, look at Switzerland County, look at Patriot, and make comments. And we're coordinating all of that. And they looked at TripAdvisor, they looked at Yelp, they looked at all the different aspects, as well as their own social media. And so we're gonna consolidate all of that. Then we've had 3 site visits. The first one was a canoe trip that I took with about 8 people, and we paddled up Indian Creek. We were gonna put in right down here, and then we paddled, but the river was flowing too strong. So we went down to Indian Creek Landing and paddled up Indian Creek and came back down. Stopped at, yeah.
Can you minimize the view thing so we can see pictures?
Oh, sure. Excuse me. Uh-oh. And then we had another trip where my wife and I came up and spent the weekend and had a wonderful visit with everybody, and toured the county much more so. And then we had a formal site visit about 2 weeks ago with Juck and with Brewster and Jack and a couple other folks and 2 photographers. And they went through and took probably about 150 photographs. And they're both professional photographers. And I've sent Andrea and John a link, and they've agreed to give you all those photographs that you can use forevermore in any way, shape, or form. And today's meeting is sort of a time to listen to the National Park Service and to gather more thoughts. One of the pieces down here on the bottom left-hand side is our Voyager canoes, which just yesterday we got permission from our local health department to bring them out of storage again. So we're going to start paddling, and so we'd love to come up here to vevay and launch our boats at one of the events that you have here, and maybe we'll even look at the Fred the Goat Day and do that. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm really looking forward to the day. And we have quite an in-depth piece, or 2 hours planned. And what we want to do is to sort of introduce Jack Sutton, who's going to talk about the big picture of the Ohio River. And well, I talked about the chat already. And we talked about the Rivertown Review. Or is this Jack's turn now?
No, but if you're wrapping up, I'll take it over, David.
Go ahead.
Okay, David, thank you so much. And good afternoon, everyone, friends in VV. My name is Jack Sutton. I'm a resident of Aurora, Indiana, and serve as one of the 3 co-chairs for the Ohio River Recreation Trail. I'm the guy that represents the Indiana shoreline. But I wanted to first share a personal story or relationship I have with VV. My grandmother was Mary Tandy, and she was one of the 6 Tandy daughters born to Carol Shank Tandy. And she grew up in the historic home there at the corner of Market and Union Street. So I've been venturing to VV since I was a small kid. And when I was about 13, me and a friend of mine rode our bicycles from Aurora to VV, took the ferry boat over to Gent, Kentucky, stayed with another relative in Gent for a few days, and then returned back across the ferry and back up 56 to Aurora. So I've been spending my entire life kind of traversing up and down the Ohio River and playing around in some of the tributaries and biking along its shoreline. It sure is beautiful. And that really leads us to what we're about. The Ohio River Recreation Trail is a group of volunteers who are very passionate about the Ohio River and want to make others informed about how important of a natural resource we have here in the center part of our country. The Ohio River is a wonderful asset. It's also a very utilitarian transportation corridor and serves a lot of other purposes. But we think more people should be more aware of what you can do in terms of outdoor recreation and conservation of natural resources up and down the river. And so a couple of years ago, David and Brewster, you've met David. Brewster Rhodes is on the call here. He's our third co-chair, and he's from Cincinnati, and he really represents the Ohio group. So David and Brewster took a canoe trip in one of these Voyager canoes from Portsmouth, Ohio to Louisville, Kentucky. And along the way, they stopped in towns just like vevay and Aurora and Rising Sun and others, and sort of created this conversation of celebrating the Ohio River corridor, making it a welcoming area for outdoor recreation, and help to stimulate the economic vitality of small river towns up and down the river corridor. So, that's what we're about. We want to help you and other communities along the river kind of sell your asset, make it enjoyable to visitors, to residents, make people want to live in places like vevay, make people want to come spend 2 or 3 days exploring vevay and Switzerland County and other communities up and down the Ohio River. So we're just a bunch of river rats who enjoy celebrating the Ohio River. And about 18 months ago, we applied for and were awarded a planning assistance grant from the National Park Service. Their Rivers, Trails, and Conservation Assistance Program team, and you're going to meet a couple of those folks today. Andrea, Russ, and Helen are with us and going to help facilitate today's meeting. But that's really how the Rivertown Review got started, if you will. The idea was brainstormed in our team, and we developed this concept to go out and provide a fresh set of eyes on local communities on the Ohio River. So we're going to be very conscious of your time today. We want to finish on time and make the best use of everyone's time. So I'm going to wrap up my little story about the Ohio River Recreation Trail and introduce to you Andrea Ireland, one of our planners with the National Park Service, and she's going to share a little bit more about what they do and about what today's program will be all about. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Jack. And don't listen to him about them just being river rats, because these three are a force to be reckoned with between David, Brewster, and Jack. They are really making things happen on the Ohio River. And they did enlist the help of the National Park Service. We are a program of the Park Service, Rivers, Trails, Conservation Assistance. And our mission is to go out into communities and help them to get projects done to achieve on-the-ground success in outdoor recreation in their own communities. So we don't have to be focused on being in a national park. It's important that we use our experiences and our skills to help communities to realize success as well. So our process in being involved with the ORRT is to establish the water trail, to engage the communities, and to create a resource that is available to everyone. In our team, we did look at the, especially with COVID, we looked at the opportunities for engaging the communities along the river to support the Ohio River Recreation Trail, but also to benefit themselves in how they can further capture these outdoor recreation opportunities. So as some of you know, the Rivertown communities submitted an application. We did do one round of 3 or 4 communities, and this is our second round that we're going into now. So you have been specifically selected as a Rivertown community to undergo this process. We received some information from your town that we have reviewed. We did the desktop review, as David said, where we looked at you from an outsider's internet perspective. We did the visitor assessment. We're visiting your town. Someday I hope to get there when we can travel again. And we are hosting this community meeting, which we would have liked to have done in person. And someday we will be able to visit as well. It's just part of what we do as project partners. So another National Park Service layer in this, not only RTCA, which is the Rivers and Trails program, but on the Ohio River is the overlay of the Lewis and Clark National Historic Trail as well. Some of you may know about that. And previously, the trail did go from St. Louis out west, and within the last 2 years, they did the eastward expansion, and now it covers the part of the river that you're on. So this layer of the Lewis and Clark National Historic Trail is yet another way that you can embrace the river, the culture of the river, and all that that has to offer as well. And I'm not seeing Derek on here. Is anybody else seeing Derek on here? Okay. Well,
Andrea, I pulled up the website. I can do a quick tour of that if it's helpful.
that would be good, because the only thing I have is this screenshot. So usually, you want me to stop sharing, Helen?
Sure.
We have Derek Schimmel, who is with a contractor, Solomar International, that has been working on a geotourism project with the Lewis and Clark National Historic Trail to develop economic tourism opportunities for communities along the Lewis and Clark Trail. That's a daunting task when you think of how long, almost 5,000 miles of trail. That's quite a job. I'll stick with our 270 miles or 250 or our little stretch that we're working on. So Helen has pulled up their website, and this is just one of the tools that is available to you to use to get your community on the map, so to speak. And if Derek were here, he would give you a little tour of what these dots mean, how you can focus in and see what's there. You can put your information, you can get your information put on here. And it isn't just a Western thing, it is our area as well. And Derek has been very engaged with us in this Rivertown review process to help the communities in the new eastward expansion part get on the map, so to speak. And we will be providing you, so you can see as Helen focuses in there, that those big dots turn into smaller dots of points of interest, whether it's restaurants or historical sites or boat access, anything that you think is valuable in your town. I can see Fred the Goat right there on a future point of interest on the Lewis and Clark National Historic Trail Experience website.
Helen, you're on Rising Sun. Why don't you go to vevay?
Sure. Well, I wanted to show Rising Sun to just demonstrate how there is, a small community and a small group of people in a small community can get a lot of resources listed, and y'all have as well, I see, as we zoom in here on vevay.
So you will be receiving instructions how to engage with this particular website, how to get your points of interest on here. And this is open to, the world. And the National Park Service is doing a very large effort to create an app. Their app has rolled out, and so they're trying to combine and link up all of these other assets, internet assets, to their very robust website and app on the phone, so that that will be leveraged many times over by people who use the NPS website or app. So you can look for those directions when we finish up our community meeting, the follow-up letter that we send out. we'll have those instructions on there.
All right, I'll stop sharing my screen, Andrea, and give it back to you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think this is the one. Are we good?
Yep.
Okay. So that is just one tool. And now we're gonna go to our friend Brewster Rhodes, who is up on Lake Erie, to talk a little bit about another tool, which is really important and available to you, that lives on our website. Brewster?
Thanks, Andrea, and hello, folks. Really appreciate you taking the time to participate in this dialogue with us. It's so exciting for me personally to have gotten a chance to learn more about vevay, taking the tour, doing an online review, and just trying to dig deep and understanding the incredible assets you guys have to offer. So the Ohio River Recreation Trail, about 1.5 years ago, as we started getting going, decided, we need a website that ideally will become a go-to site for people interested in learning more information about the Ohio, about safety on the river, the history of the river, a quick way to get up-to-date weather forecasts and river velocity and stage information, information about events that the river communities have scheduled. We're just in the process of building that schedule out for this year. It hasn't been updated yet. And a place that all the partner organizations, including you all, and thank you so much for being a partner, get listed with links to their websites directly. But we also have an information about the webinars we've been doing, but a very unique tool that we have embedded in our website is called the Digital Guide to the Ohio. And it was developed and is being maintained by the Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana Regional Council of Governments, the regional planning agency for Cincinnati area, Northern Kentucky. And they've done a marvelous job with their crack GIS team in creating a map that is, of course, accessible by your cell phone, on your laptop, that has very useful information about safety, about access points on the Ohio. Where are the boat ramps? Where are the fuel docks? Where are the marinas? Where are the campgrounds? Where are the bike trails along the shoreline on both sides of the river? Information that is really handy for folks who are considering an overnight, a day long, or an overnight, or a weekend trip, either to a community for 2 or 3 days, or through a community going 100 miles on the Ohio River by powerboat, or by paddling, or by riding a bike, or even by driving their car. So it provides information in a very efficient way about where you can stay, where you can eat, where are the key historic points of interest, whether it's Underground Railroad, the Civil War, pioneer history, other architecture that's very unique. But it also, as I say, has very useful information about safety on the Ohio. So you can see in the middle of the map of the Ohio is a red line, which is what's called the sail line. So it tells that's where the barges, of course, traverse. And if you're anchored, listening to a concert, for example, on the shoreline, and you're actually in that red zone, you better move because you'll get run over by a barge. And a unique feature is if you have your location service on from your cell phone, you can see that blinking dot in the river is you in a canoe or a kayak or a powerboat. So it's like showing you in real time where you are in relation to these resources and amenities that you can take advantage of while you're actually on the river. And it also has the mile marker, so you know exactly for safety purposes where you are mile marker wise along the course of the river. And then finally, it has what's called the Ais system, which allows you to see in real time where the barges are, what direction they're going, the name of the barge, the speed that they're going in, and that's updated every 15 seconds. So it's a wonderful resource. And the Coast Guard believes this is the only tool of its kind in the country that integrates these key points of interest that help people plan trips, but also enhances the safety for people on the river. So it's a great tool, and it allows you all to add to the site amenities that aren't currently on there from vevay. So we'll follow up with Andrea and John and others to work with you to make sure that the The points of interest that you've already identified that will come up in today's dialogue get added to the site so that people will know they're there. We'll have links and we'll be able to link directly to that amenity if they want more information about their website, et cetera. So it's a great tool, and look forward to working with you to help build out your community's portion and the county's portion of the assets along the river. So thank you.
Next, I would like to move forward into the participation process. And we're going to do a little warm-up exercise. But before we do that, I just want to give an overview of what we see when we look at this from a long-distance perspective. Vevay is 67 river miles downstream from Cincinnati and 66 river miles upstream from Louisville. And only 8 river miles down to Carrollton. So this is a center point in the corridor between these 2 major metropolitan areas, and that is all part of the influence that we feel that Vevay has to offer. As we look a little closer at the community, you've got a great waterfront, riverfront park area leading into the business district, and you've got access already on the river there at the waterfront park. So this all sets the stage for great access, a great use of this area, which I'm going to basically assume, looking at Google Maps, that this might be a limited flood zone here where the park is, because it appeared that the business district's a few feet above the grade of the park. So this perspective, what this community looks like from the river, how you're utilizing this space is very efficient from the standpoint of outdoor recreation venues. And we're hoping to gain some more insight from you folks, what you feel the value of your community is. So one of the key things that we would like to start out with is do a little warm-up exercise on using a new interactive tool before we actually get into a SWOT analysis. We're going to get you introduced to the software here, and I'm going to turn it over to Helen to lead you through that process.
Russ, before you go, who are you and
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah,
what do you do?
I'm the Kentucky Field Office representative for the Rivers, Trails, and Conservation Assistance Program. Andrea and I are working together on this project. I'm based out of Mammoth Cave. I'm a landscape architect by training, and really excited about being able to do the Rivertown reviews with these communities, because I see tremendous opportunity for communities to help themselves move into more outdoor recreation venues. Thank you.
He's also worked very closely with Carrollton and the whole Kentucky River corridor.
So Helen, would you take it over, please?
Sure. So my name is Helen Sievers. I'm also a landscape architect with the National Park Service, Rivers, Trails, and Conservation Assistance Program. I'm also based out of the Mammoth Cave National Park area. I actually joined the team for the purpose of focusing on long-term recovery projects. And what I'm working on right now are Louisiana communities that were in the path of the hurricanes from last fall. Laura and Delta. But like Russ and Andrea, I've been on a travel moratorium, which has made it possible for me to get involved in this project. And it's been a great learning experience. Kentucky's my home, and it's been great to learn more about these Ohio River communities by being involved in these community meetings. So I've put something into the chat, and I'm thinking that maybe Andrea or David in that room would be able to navigate to the chat box and bring that up on your shared screen. When I enter things in the chat, I put them in all caps just to set them off from anything else that's going on. And that's not because I'm yelling. It's just to help set them off. So the first link I've put in is for our warm-up exercise. And I have it up on my screen as well. And I see several of you are joining in. So I want to start by saying we are all beginners here. We are approaching this project with a beginner's mind. What we're trying to do is something that resembles a Post-it note exercise as though we were all in the same room together. And I feel like using this mural web-based interface has been a neat new step for us. We just had a successful meeting with this on Tuesday, but this is a new experience for us as facilitators to have some of you together in the same room. So we're beginners all over again. You are beginning to work with this, and I am also beginning to understand what kind of challenges you might have. So we're all just agreeing to be patient with one another, and we're going to move along and do the best we can. But this is a pretty simple exercise. There are no wrong answers. What you're invited to do, and David, maybe you can give me a thumbs up if you feel like everybody in the room has access to a mouse and a keyboard.
Well, we have a couple people here. I have mine, and
Mine's up on my phone.
yours is up on your phone, and Matt, you got yours?
I think so.
And, well, what animal are you? That's the question. You know, it's like, see, there's a shark, there's a seahorse.
I'm the seahorse.
You're the seahorse.
And so those of you who are looking up on the projection screen, you can see
So
all
you're-
of
you're-
those
you're the
avatars
seahorse.
moving around on the screen, right?
Is it
Yeah.
a seahorse?
Good. So the name you've been assigned is perfectly random, and it's nothing to do with the content we hope to get from you. And as we move from one mural to the next, you'll end up with a new avatar. So if you're the seahorse now, you won't be the seahorse
gotta do is you
in our next exercise.
There's a mouse right here, if you want, some people like.
Oh, and I see people have already started the assignment. That's wonderful. All you need to do is go into this. I'm summoning you all to the space where we're working. And all you need to do to make an entry is double click and you will create a Post-it note. And I just made a yellow one. If you'd like it to be bigger, you can drag a corner and make it bigger. If you'd like it to be a different color,
It's my favorite animal.
and you can go up to the menu bar and change the color. And I'm going to enter the seahorse as my favorite animal. And then I think I want my text to be larger. So I'm going back to the menu bar and making it bigger. So feel free to do that sort of thing, play around. Again, this is just for us to play and learn. If you want to put down more than one Post-it note to practice, that's fine as well. But just keep on going. What I'm going to do is turn off where we can see all those cursors floating around, because that gets a little visually overstimulating. But you can still grab anything that you have typed and edit it, make it larger, make it smaller, change the color. Be advised, you can also change other people's content without meaning to. So just be careful. When we—
Hey, Helen?
Yeah.
You may want to pause here to make sure that everybody is getting on.
Yeah.
Anybody having problems?
I am.
Don't be afraid to.
What you might have to do, you could come
Not
over
working.
to me and tell me what you want to put in. That could be just as easy.
I wish this thing reboots. It said that I had to put on a, what do you call it?
Or
I had
Matt,
to sign
Matt
in
has
and
his
that,
up, you
and I
can
did.
do, if you can't get it to work. You
Now
know,
I'm
Matt,
gonna
over
sign
here,
in.
you have to work together sometimes.
I'll figure it out. That's not crazy.
Yeah, David Wicks, if you want to be a scribe for some of the folks.
Yeah, we're working it out.
Yeah, that's great. We've got time. We're doing great.
And unfortunately,
Not the
we don't
most-
have any repeats, so there's nothing I can put over the top of anything else.
Some are down here.
I like whoever put the entry that your favorite animal is your kids. I think I'm just going to take that one and make it larger.
Go ahead, Helen.
Uh-huh. Okay, do we feel like we've done enough here that we're ready for the next exercise, the next practice?
Put in.
Is there anybody at all remotely, or is everybody in
I
that
don't see it up there
conference?
yet. Oh, yeah, the song.
I'm not
Okay,
real
got it.
sure how he's not getting a box.
You have to double click.
Double click.
It went. Okay, he's got one.
Well done. Is that the big purple one?
Yeah.
Now you just have to type something in it.
Is Matt Hochner in the room?
Yes.
That's him in the purple box.
Okay.
His favorite animal is a hello.
Oh, is that what we're supposed to
No kidding.
It's okay.
Sorry, I'm a computer science undergrad, so
And
that's the
you,
first thing a computer ever said.
and you work with his.
I love that. That's great. All right, well, we're going to do another activity now. We're going to do a voting session, and you can vote on your favorite top 3 animals. So I'm just setting it up right now.
Now, make it for 6 because there's several teams here.
Good advice. Here we go. 6 votes. All right, and it's just about to begin, and I'm thinking Andrea and David, and I'm not sure who else, who has a keyboard with mural up. You might just find a buddy and help that buddy vote. Here we go.
So everybody gets 3 votes.
So what do you want to vote?
So click on the begin voting, and then you can just move your mouse around and click on anything that you want to vote for. And you can't see any votes but your own.
Except for me.
On a post-it
Peter, I'm
note.
able to monitor how many votes are being cast, but your focus is on what you want to vote on.
And you should click on a post-it note to vote, because if you click on blank space, it'll go into the abyss.
Thank you for that, Andrea Ireland. So does everybody in VV, do you feel like you've had the chance to vote?
Yes.
Great. Okay, so what we're going to do is in the voting session, and this is where the results come up. And there we go. So the great blue heron was the top vote getter. And this is a cool thing about this. We can see that there were 4 unique votes, but somebody voted, more than once for that, which is fine. That's going to come in handy in what we're doing next. Same with the goat. Now, you know what? That just does not come as a surprise to me that the goat was a big vote getter. And we can scroll on down the list. So this is the kind of quick response feedback that we can get. And so the quality of what we learn about your community comes straight out of the quality of what you're able to provide when we go through the next 2 exercises that Russ and Andrea Ireland are going to lead us in. Does anybody have any other questions about this before we might move on to the...
And what we have to do is you have to back out of this thing. Except
Now, another thing that you can do is if you bring up the outline on the right, David, there's a question mark at the upper right.
What is your favorite?
2 icons next to that, to the outline.
Uh-huh.
And if you click on the number 1, that's going to zoom you out to the full screen.
Okay, I got it.
And then if you want to zoom into what we're actually working on, click on the
Now
number
we close
2.
this totally out.
What's that?
Now we close this down because you're going to put up a new one.
Yes. Yeah, I'm gonna give you that link right now. If everybody's
So
satisfied,
you
we're ready
close
to
this
move
guy
on.
out.
Helen, I have a question.
Yes, what's that?
As we proceed to more voting, how many votes should each person use?
So Russ, I'll have you verify this, but what we've been doing is that each individual casts 3 votes. And so the way we're going to do a workaround, since there's some shared use of keyboards and monitors, is I'll set up for each voting session, people will be given 6 votes. And then for those of you in the room, you have a buddy, you're on the buddy system. Is that right? I see 7 people.
Yep.
Yeah, that'll work. Okay. So you'll cast 3 votes for each thing, but I'm going to actually issue 6 so that there can be some pairing there, if that makes sense.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. I appreciate the clarification or the request for clarification.
Helen, before you post that, I did notice that somebody put their answer in the chat. So you want to make sure that your answers are going into your post-it note in Mural rather than in the chat. unless you don't have access to mural, and then we will be able to capture that otherwise.
You know, I'm glad you noticed that. Had I been monitoring the chat box, I could have seen the entry for a kitten and could have easily added it as a Post-it note. And you know, that's a workaround for us. That's not a problem. If like on a mobile device, you can't bring the mural up or add a note, that's a way we can work around that. I'm glad you mentioned it.
And perhaps Lisa's iPhone does not have access to the.
I do believe it's harder. You can follow the Zoom meeting, but I do think it's harder to interact with mural from a mobile phone.
Okay, and before you put up the prompt, Helen, can we have Russ talk a little bit about the SWOT?
Good.
Yeah, what we're about to begin is getting some more a real feeling of what your town is all about. And we're going to start with a SWOT analysis, understanding the strengths of your community, the opportunities that maybe the strengths and the weaknesses of your community that have internal origin, and then the opportunities and threats that are external to your community. We're looking for the things that are helpful and harmful, and we're just going to have you brainstorm ideas. All of our intent here is to capture what's important to you under these 4 categories, and I'll give you some additional thoughts once we get into the actual exercise to consider. But this is our way of understanding what's important to you. And as a heads up, each idea on a separate Post-it note, please. And if you have something the same as somebody else's idea, that's fine. As we start to collect this information, we'll work in the background and put similar ideas on top of each other if they are the same, so that when we go through the voting exercise in each of these 4 quadrants, we're voting on the specific topics that are listed. So if we get dual topics, we'll combine them into one. So just as a clarification, we will be voting on all 4 of these categories. We want to know what your priorities are, what you think are the most important aspects to consider for strengths, for weaknesses, for opportunities, and threats in your community. So with that, Helen, would you bring us to the point of leading us into the next exercise?
Yeah, so now check the chat box again to bring up this new link. It's a new mural, and you'll go through the same exercise as before. You'll enter as a visitor and you'll just use the name that's issued to you or the avatar that's issued to you. And I see we're populating. We've got 4 so far, so that's good. We're up to 5 now. And so this basically mimics what Russ was saying of, you know, the 4 different areas that we're going to be thinking about together today: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And I'm going to ask you to hold off on entering anything until Russ does a little intro. And Andrea, were you about to say something?
Yeah, on my screen, I don't know about anybody else's, but it's really tiny.
Does that help? Is that better?
That's better. Yeah.
Okay. And I'll bring you into the strengths area here shortly when Russ is ready for that.
Yeah, do you think everybody's has been assigned a character now that we can move forward?
David Wicks, are we doing okay there?
Yes, we're good, I think.
Okay, great. Well, let's zoom into strengths. And here again, create a Post-it note and start thinking about the strengths of your community related to your community from an outdoor recreation standpoint, from tourism standpoint. And strengths are things that you can build on, things that your community does well.
I was trying to, I'm gonna connect with the internet. I finally got my computer up.
Okay, because it's going to be over by the time you're ready.
It will be.
Let's sit over here and just hit that.
What are some of the unique resources that your community has? That's a real strength. What are the qualities that separate your community from your competitors?
Click right there and type in the strength. So the 2 of you can come up with a strength.
Hey, David.
Yes.
Could you mute while you're working through that, just so that we can hear Russ? Please.
Great, thank you. Again, things to build on, things that your community does well. What are your unique resources that you have available in your community? What quality sets your community apart from other communities? You have internal resources such as skilled and knowledgeable staff or other assets. All tangible assets can be considered strengths. And what do others see as your strength when they look at your community?
You got an idea? Just keep on going.
Absolutely. Keep right on going. Keep adding any and all ideas to the strengths category. And we'll do each of these 4 categories separately.
The folks of you in the room, you are the brain trust for vevay. We need your information here. We might have ideas as outsiders, but it's really your thoughts on this that are the most valuable.
My suggestion is if we can have about 3 minutes of quiet time to work on it.
Go right ahead.
I'll set a little timer.
And also note that your Post-it might get moved around, and that's okay.
What can't you figure
I
out?
can't get it to let me get on the screen. I'm supposed to be that little yellow ladybug. I don't, maybe I've X'd out something.
You're right here. Okay,
That's it?
that's it. Just type in anything. So you put it someplace on there and just,
Okay.
uh,
What did you say?
It's beautiful.
Proximity to,
We are physically
important
beautiful.
metropolitan area.
see, you can write these words down.
Hey, I've done a lot of spots, so. that kind of service.
I think you should put down, what's the name of the Patriot Park? We went there.
Hey, Helen?
Yeah.
I'm noticing that some of them are locking their
Oh, the
responses.
baseball park or the boat ramp. So that's-
Ah, okay.
It's a, I like that little bay off of it.
Walkability to to restaurants and
Yeah, big steps. Oh, the joke every day.
The hour, it's stuff like that.
Wonderful.
That's usually a big thing.
Something like that.
I've got that 10-minute walk, if I slowly do it. Take me a minute. What else?
unique cultural history.
These are some excellent ideas coming forth here, folks.
People need another couple minutes.
More ideas in.
This is the purpose of what we're doing.
Emerging understanding.
We need 2 more minutes.
That's good.
That's great.
2 more minutes coming right up.
Emerging and understanding community potential and assets.
Y'all, I'm not sure how, we want to leave these unlocked so Andrea Ireland is able to move them around and group them. And we're experiencing something new today, which is they seem to be, the default seems to be that they're locked, your comments.
I
So,
don't see where to change that, so.
yeah, I don't know either. I'm trying to figure it out myself.
Bring out a room.
Yeah. Okay, for this artist.
Andrea, is that working? Andrea Ireland?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just trying to unlock them one at a time when I see that they're locked. Do you think another minute will do the job?
Yeah.
If we were there together in person, we would be doing this up on a board on the wall. You'd be posting your notes up and we'd be discussing how they group together and arrange them. So this is the next best tool that we can use to being there not being able to be there in person, but still gather the information from individuals, see where things come together as groups, and then you will help us prioritize these when we go through the voting aspect,
Ignore my
like you would if you were putting dots on the board.
That's okay. Hopefully we can make it out. Please, somebody keeps grabbing.
Will you let us know, David, when you've completed your input?
Okay,
Well, there we go.
30 seconds.
We're good.
We're good, we're good.
Okay.
Let's go on to the next one then. We'll go to weaknesses, please.
All right. I'm summoning everybody to the next quadrant.
Okay, with weaknesses, you can begin to input your ideas. These would be things that need to be overcome. What could you improve on in your community?
I'm not going to do that.
What's the biggest challenge?
What things does your community lack?
We got so many.
What things do your
Well,
community?
The core engineer is type it in there. I
Think that your
think,
competitors do better than you do?
People don't understand what it's to do, or it's clean up, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Hey, Helen,
that's a good
Yeah.
one.
I can no longer move those.
Not really.
Okay.
But that growth, we need more growth in our town somehow. We have a very small town, it's kind of, mine is dying out.
Where do you have fewer resources than others, maybe you could consider a weakness?
Yeah.
Or others likely to see as your weakness?
I'm sure that historic venues for a lot.
Again, things that your community lacks or that you could improve upon. Those types of ideas.
But she said that was her favorite food.
Obstacles you need to overcome.
Yeah, road access.
Trying to purchase a favorite last night on the restaurant. She's from California. That was Roxanne Moore.
The restaurant.
She's stuck, she's like, what? God, that was funny.
Very, very, restaurant bar background.
What is
Other weaknesses. I think I know it's really weakness. It's hard to get in and out of here.
That's right.
What?
Yeah. I mean, we just think that's countywide though.
Society-wide,
Not very.
lack of strippers.
John.
John! Typing. No pity bars.
I think we have naked fishermen, that's what we want, right?
This is being recorded.
Naked fishermen.
I will admit, a few of these are a first for me.
Infrastructure. The roads wash out, we can't get people that infrastructure. You can either get city process, right, it's confusing, but if somebody wants to come in and do something, we'll talk tomorrow.
Let's see, there was,
Go there.
Oh, I know what my favorite one
I
is.
wrote the core.
Yeah, me too. You should get answers.
Yeah, faster.
we kind of got the same rule.
That DNR, actually the regional, but.
I think your folks are really getting the grasp of the software.
Some people from out of town being put in.
Oh,
position.
our building. Send anybody after this.
We need a couple more minutes yet, David?
Yeah,
Yes.
Okay.
definitely.
Information, share information like we should.
I'm not sure where to put the lack of strippers.
You can take it off. It was just a joke.
I mean, does that go with lack of participation or apathy or money?
I was thinking maybe it was lack of stripers, you know, people to put down bike lane striping.
Well, what's the one, fatigue of going to.
Well, I was just saying, we always are having the same people, that's certainly not. And we have the same people on the same committee. Yeah, yeah, volunteer fatigue is really good. That says it too. That definitely says it too.
We're closing in on about a half a minute. Do you think that's enough time or should I add more?
I think we're good.
Excellent.
Y'all are doing great.
This is all very good input.
Consistency of business owners. Well, that's different. Well, that's true. No, it's okay. But, you know, when business is supposed to be on a Wednesday, and somebody goes, it's not.
Predictable hours.
Screaming, it's like 20 minutes.
It says on the door.
Well, and we say, oh, yeah, they're up, go down. And then go down there and they're not, very upset. Consistency of maintaining posted business hours. Responsible business hours.
Okay, Helen.
Okay. So I think I'm going to try a workaround to figure out what's going on with how your comments come up sort of automatically locked. Or Andrea Ireland, are you able to work around that at this point?
I am not.
Yeah. Okay. So
it's-
what I'm going to do is zoom out to the whole thing. And if I think I heard somebody's studied computer programming. If you want to weigh in, just feel free because I'm making
I'd
it up.
say let's just go on and do it, you know?
So what I'm going to do is unlock everything. And if y'all can just like chill, because there are certain things I do need to lock back. Let's see.
They seem to have disappeared.
What?
There's one. Nope, they disappeared.
What disappeared?
The locked ones. So why don't we just go on?
Like they were there and now they're gone?
Yeah, but somebody's moving things around. Yeah, go ahead and go on to the next one.
Okay.
Next quadrant will be opportunities of external origin.
How do you get there?
You can take us to the quadrant for opportunities, please.
Oh, okay, sorry.
She's gonna move it. Helen, you gonna move us?
I'm doing it right now.
There we go. And like the previous two, you will use an individual Post-it note for what you feel are opportunities and as things to explore. Underserved markets, emerging need for your community. What trends could you take advantage of? What don't we have that would make our community better? And how can you turn your strengths into opportunities? Strengths and opportunities are very closely correlated, internal versus external. Again, what should we be exploring? What are the underserved markets? The emerging need for your community? What trends are out there that you should try and take advantage of for your community? What don't we have that would make our community better? You are pros at this now.
Oh,
With the locking, are we doing any better?
What's that new highway supposed to be?
very locked.
Yeah.
I do not understand this.
Everybody is locked.
And now I can't unlock them either.
Well, it's important to get the ideas down. Maybe we won't rearrange them at this point, but continue to post your notes, please.
So what's the biggest opportunity? Patriot. The name? I heard it's the only town named
That works.
Patriot, Ohio, I believe.
Oh, somewhat a rumor.
They would have just made a new.
They
one.
were just made,
It used
yeah,
to
it
be-
just, yeah, Patriot was the
It was
only
the
one.
only one in the country.
And then, but I believe there is a Patriot, Ohio now.
I think you better get them to change their name.
Yeah. We've always usually had our 4th of July parade on the 4th of July, but this year we're gonna move to the 3rd, on Sunday. So. That's fishing.
Opportunities, what's out there that you should be considering to help improve your community? What don't we have that would make our community better?
We need a store.
We need a what?
Store. We have a store, but it's not really a good function anymore.
Like Kroger's?
And not a big Kroger, we just need a store. Same thing, but I don't really.
Piggly Wiggly?
Yeah. We don't have that much room for Kroger's. We're very small, we're only 6 blocks. Restaurant would be great.
Yeah.
Oh, Patriot.
Yes.
Put it down.
Popularity of camping.
And get all the Amazon.
Man, you know, one thing I found, I was came up here to look for a place to stay, and I went on Airbnb, and the only places that came up was
They tried the road down.
Patriot with staying on houseboats. And so there's like 3 houseboats that you can rent.
In Florence,
In Florence.
yeah. They're close to New York. I don't even say it back, there's only one Airbnb. I know of.
I know, we should just park a lot of trucks.
We saw the speedway. But I talked to them the other day, and they did not, they said that they weren't planning on, I mean, they are planning on going back there and racing there.
Got a lot of open land, so always an opportunity.
Yeah.
Listen, at least compared to.
Yeah, most of the drivers will stay at Montana.
Yeah, we don't. Well,
They
that's funny.
stay over here, they don't stay there.
These are great ideas and keep them coming.
Show them opportunity.
An opportunity that we celebrate. That's what it is. It's like rural driving, development. That's what rural driving.
Well, you gotta get that guys to quit bush hogging the sides of the road for those scalping.
Hooters schools, that's true.
Oh, the Hoosier School.
What is Belterra?
The casino,
And resort. A casino and resort with a world-class golf course. And a
Okay.
theater
What's that mean?
for concerts.
Echo.
Hey, we're debuting the film at King's National Archives site.
oh, or 15.
Another 2 minutes? Or another minute?
Another minute, okay?
Another minute or a minute and 30 seconds, so not.
Right on, minute 30.
Great, thank you. You're really populating this one up well.
And on here, I said the Hollywood, something about Hollywood, I said Hollywood from your town.
You know, there's what you get.
I did, I read
Campground, fishing, right?
You can go there.
I did.
Campground would be great. I'm a tent camper, and every campground around here is really for, you know, or trailers that are there for the whole season.
Right.
And put a tent there and it's like.
I think we're good.
It's just like a backyard.
Right.
So some sort of.
It's like a primitive campground.
President, that's what I like about camping too, so, you know, I just, I like to be, I like to have a trailer. I guess that's what I'm saying.
Right.
I lived there all the time, and it just disappeared. I'd rather have.
I think she's moving.
Everybody, well, most people nowadays want that, they want their camping, is going and having everything that they have at home.
That's right.
Camping when I was a kid, you had a tent.
Yeah, that's what we did then.
Yeah, most of it's still those campers, you can stay in your your house if you want to.
Food drivers are crazy. In fact, only that one. What's the out there next week?
20 seconds to
You know,
go.
now maybe you might become a destination for the tattoo. You know, if you're having a famous tattoo person move in here, that could be,
But she probably come here to get away from all that.
oh.
She won't be bothered.
Any more
She said,
time,
no,
anything
no,
else?
the first time she posted anything on the internet, she said, I wonder what Vicky would think about having a tattoo parlor.
She
Right.
did.
Time's
Like,
up.
oh, yeah.
She's.
And what was the response?
Are we done inputting on opportunity?
And
My
think
sister
so.
loves the store now.
Yes, I
everybody in the
know.
world wanted to come here. It was crazy.
Hey, David?
David, are we done with the input?
Yeah, yes, we're done. We're just having a great conversation, but okay.
Sorry.
No, that's what we're here for.
Okay,
We'll call the order back together here, meeting order. You're on here, threats.
Okay, right, we're going to do the last quadrant right now. What are the threats to your community of external origin? Things to minimize,
Or is it
emerging competitors.
or is it a good thing?
What threats could harm your community?
River's always a threat.
The flooding.
The flooding.
What threats do your weaknesses expose you to? Are there changing regulatory environments that are threats to your community?
Sounds like.
Like a blind thing.
Yeah.
I like doing the tornadoes.
Yeah.
Tornadoes.
try to put your thoughts on individual post-it notes.
We were trying to say it, we figured out a way to say it.
Oh, gosh.
Things to minimize,
People against change.
emerging competitors,
That's a good one.
Beer.
I think that is a.
I put it up already. Unacceptable change.
Oh, okay.
We have to, let's get to Cincinnati.
Cincinnati has its own problems with that, doesn't it?
any other ideas to put in here?
People who use words like recalcitrant.
Big vocabulary.
Moving in.
Smarty pants.
Overeducated people.
Yeah.
I don't know, that's a mighty good word.
Over-credentialed.
Smarty pants moving in.
That is kind of,
People with their book learning.
it's funny, but it's not funny, because that happens there a lot. People don't, you know, somebody from the outside moves in and they're, for a while, they usually treat you kind of.
Yeah, well, that's,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, unaccepting of other people's points of view.
Yeah.
It's not a good thing.
No.
Not here, like especially my little town, just,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I think people are afraid that someone's above them socioeconomically or educationally, they get shunned almost. It's like, I'm not dealing with them, they're all.
I'm sure everybody puts
They have no idea.
pants on one leg at a time, no matter whether you're up here or down here, it's all the same, you know.
Any more input here?
Town, I told them you wave at every
Any
car,
other
whether
threats?
you know who's in it or not.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly right.
People who don't wave.
People that
Yeah.
don't, but non-waivers.
How much more time do you need, David?
Probably an hour.
It's funny how you go on the river, everybody on the river is always friendly. You know, go to campgrounds, people are always friendly. You get out on the roads, you get one, you know, this and that, and
Well, this
We're good? You taking one more, Andrea?
Yeah.
I'm done.
We're good.
We're good.
Okay, great. Thank you, everyone, for your input. Helen, I would like to go back to coming everybody to the strengths, please.
Very good.
And at this point, we're going to cast a vote. Remember, you are casting 3 votes per person of all these various ideas here. you help us choose the top 3 most priority items that you think are the strengths for your community, casting 3 votes each person.
Hold on, we seem to have a little problem here.
Okay,
Well, no, maybe it's fine. Maybe it's gonna work fine to vote. I was trying to just grab something and move it, and I'm not able to for some of them.
Yeah.
Let's just vote.
Let's just
Let's
see
vote.
what happens. We're gonna do our best.
Right.
So we're gonna set it up, so, sorry, go ahead, Andrea.
We tried to group some of these and then things get moved around. So we'll just vote.
so
Oh, wait, hold on. Let me make sure I'm setting it up right. We said we're gonna do 6 votes per,
3 votes per person,
3
yeah,
votes per person.
total.
but you're gonna make it to be 6, so people can vote on the same one.
Right. And so does it look like
So,
we're in a voting session?
we are.
We are. Let's go ahead and vote, please. Your top 3 choices
Okay, I'm ready.
of all the items listed here under strengths.
It doesn't work.
I don't know what's going on, y'all. So the blue ones over on the left can't be voted on. Let's end this and try again. I'm gonna try a workaround. Sorry. But you get an idea for how it works.
So are we voting now?
No, you're gonna give me a minute to try to figure out what the heck is going on.
Got the clock running, so it's
Is there any way to make the icons bigger?
You can zoom, see, like you take this, and I just use my wheel to make it bigger or smaller.
Oh,
And I just tried to bring you in so you're looking at nothing but the strengths.
Correct. You've got that, yes.
can't see.
And I'm going to zoom out for a minute. I cannot figure out. When I try to select, I select exactly one Post-it note in the middle of it and not the whole document. It seems like, I don't know what's going on, y'all.
Okay, so why don't you just zoom into strengths and start voting again? We'll try that.
Well, except that none of the blue Post-it notes can be voted on. And I don't understand why. Let's see. Oh, maybe it's because, no, that's the timer. I'm going to stop that. Okay. I'm at least able to select more stuff now. Okay. Thank y'all for bearing with me. Oh, there we go. Okay, let me just try to.
You might want to tell people to sit on their cursors for a minute while you work that
Yeah,
out.
just let everything rest while I'm trying to fix this. I think everything is unlocked, except I still can't click on those doggone.
Well, leave it alone, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna go back in and just do our best. We'll start a new voting session. Some of you demonstrated that you're right on top of what we're doing here. And we're gonna begin voting. As a reminder, you want to be inside the rectangle that has the heading strengths. That's where you want to be voting. And you want to click on a Post-it note to vote, not on white space.
Okay. Should we be able to vote now?
Yes.
Yes, you can begin voting, please.
And if you want to change a vote, you just right click on that same thing that you voted for.
It's not working.
I do not get this. I just don't understand what's going on.
Plan
Okay,
B is always to put it in the chat.
Yep, there we go.
You have to right click and then it.
How about this? If everybody could look at this screen up here, and I'll write down what you think is the best things, you know, what are the top strengths right here? Somebody was able to vote, but it's called technical problem.
If you right click on the little square, you do the right click on the little square when you get to it that you want to vote for, then it has a little window comes up that says vote here, and then you click on that and then you vote for it.
Hey, I fixed it. I think almost everything can be clicked on now. All
And
right,
make sure you X out of the last voting round.
yes.
So,
Now,
So
you're gonna vote again, you're gonna try it again?
we're gonna do take 3 on this, y'all. I appreciate your patience. I'm gonna bring you all back to the strengths quadrant and start voting.
Little, huh?
And here we go.
I would like my votes on
Looks like it's working, Helen.
Yay. Yep, I see votes being cast. The ladybug, the lion, the spider,
That's 6 then, right?
the other ladybug, the hippopotamus.
One about
You get 3 each.
merging, blah, 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 proximity to metropolitan areas.
Yeah, those are the ones that we got. But it's not in there.
It's not, this, you just saw mine.
Oh.
So she's gonna, because you only see your votes normally.
Oh, I see, I
So
see.
you're not influenced by what I said.
Right, you said, I see.
You can tell
I
I like
remember you
issues.
saying that or something.
So are we good?
We're good. Everybody done?
Yeah.
We have no idea.
I have been.
All done?
You worked on it?
No, I want to go.
Oh,
I want to.
Raise your hand if you're still voting.
we're done.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay, and here are the voting results.
5 people voted for a blank space.
Yeah, so that,
it was the opposite.
Well, that's a wonderful feeling.
No.
We have an opportunity here.
one person voted 5 times for a blank space is what happened there. That's, you want to make sure you're hovering over one of the Post-it notes and not in the white space. Those are hanging chads we're throwing out. It's no big deal. All the other results here are valuable.
Well, it could be a, notion of openness, and that's what it is.
Yeah, oh yeah, good. Yeah,
I think
endless possibility.
trying to vote
On
on
to the next one, please.
Okay, on to the next one.
Actually,
We have a little time to make up.
it was said that people were trying to vote for the Arts Center and it would not click, so that's where the.
Oh, thank
that's where
you. Good to know. Okay. And I'm trying to fix this problem that the recurring problem we had. I think I figured it out. And let's just click on a few. No, this is making me crazy, y'all.
Well,
Can anybody click on a Post-it note and get any kind of response?
Okay, so on to weaknesses or weaknesses.
Yes,
Right.
weaknesses.
Believe me, I'm trying.
even if we can show the screen of weaknesses, then we can put it in the chat, or David can take.
Yeah. Okay, so I will summon you to the weaknesses frame, but I still cannot. I can't figure out what's happened with this, the sort of outer frame of this thing.
The fatigue, that's huge.
So do we just want to talk about this and I'll write them down?
Yes,
That's fine. That's
or
yes.
you can put them in the chat.
We can all help with that.
What you think your top 3 items should be for weaknesses to be entered into the chat box, please.
So we're not gonna vote now.
Actually, I think I might have just fixed it. It's just a multi-step process.
She got it done last time.
Still no, I just don't understand this.
Well,
There's like a sort of a frame around the whole thing that I can't grab, and y'all don't want to hear my problems.
Well, if everybody could give their 3 votes in weaknesses to David, if you could focus back in on that real quick.
Yeah, I'll do that.
And then we need to move on.
people's votes are weaknesses.
For me, it's locked up now.
I think the fatigue of our pool of volunteers is a weakness.
I concur with that.
The same people are always asked to do everything, and they're the only ones willing to do it.
It is, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
I agree on that too. I think lack of restaurants too is a weakness.
Yes.
So, Helen, I think that David could probably zoom in.
Unique lot.
My problem, I now have a locked screen. I don't know if anybody else does. I can't.
Right.
Yeah.
But maybe David could zoom in on the screen.
Yeah, you remember that outline feature, David?
We've lost him. Hey, David.
Yes, I'm trying to, but my mouse does not work really. Here we are.
What are you doing?
Okay, so we have lack of restaurants, apathy,
Fatigue of volunteers.
Priorities, priorities are not consistent around the county.
Lack of unique lodging,
Yeah, lack of lodging.
tremendous.
lack of strippers. Any other items up there that people can have 3 votes?
Groups are not well coordinated. That's a big thing here. Communication is a big problem.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, just like today, I said, I don't know how many emails. Nobody's here.
Yeah.
Okay, are we ready to move on to opportunities?
Well, we
Opportunity.
have bad roads, we have, we got about 5 or 6. Matt?
That's perfect. Thank
Yeah,
you.
fine, yeah, we-
Curating infrastructure includes bad roads. I think that was one of them.
Having 5 or 6 items is great for us to give you an idea what your priorities are. Let's
And
move
I
on
think
to
we're
opportunities.
back in business with, I think we can do a voting session here. There was some kind of mask over the other side, but I think this half of the mural is fine. So, should we try again?
Sure.
Okay, 6 votes. Here we go.
We have 3 votes each.
Yes.
We're all
Is it working?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yeah. On my phone.
Did we find ones we?
Yeah, let's try it. There's a lot on there. I could have been.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
When technology's works, it works.
Oh, it's wonderful.
How did people, historic times of it do, how do they live? Yeah, right.
I've done it.
Huh?
I've done it.
You've done it?
Yeah. of 11 years, no electricity.
Where?
I can't.
Oh, that's too fun.
1 minute left for voting.
Do we need 1 minute?
Outhouse.
It looks like we still have a couple more people deciding.
New Hampshire was tough. We had cut wood. It
That's
was
always an
4 hours a day cutting wood. Exhausted.
So split what yesterday for an hour and a half. It was fun getting out, getting my little exercise. Not paying my electrical company and gas company money driving.
You done now?
Maddie, you done?
I'm done.
Are we done? Okay, we're done.
All righty.
Good.
These are opportunities. It'll be interesting to hear the conversation around how you can capitalize on these opportunities.
That's right.
All right, and move on to threats.
Yes, please.
All right, I think we're back in business. So we're going to do one more voting activity.
So these are the three smallest threats or the biggest threats?
What's the river shutting down?
Three priorities to be considered for threat.
Almost 3 months.
No, but I mean, that makes it sound like it's ominous or something.
Well, it doesn't always, they could sell, they
Yeah,
can close it
anytime.
down.
What's the riverboat?
Big bell tower we're talking about.
Oh,
I know, but it sounds more.
is that during the
Yeah,
summertime?
it sounds more inevitable.
That would give you a place to put your stores.
I would say perception of.
And why they
They
renovating? Oh, it closed.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank God.
All right, I think we're good.
No,
Oh, flooding, oh, yeah.
any more time? They're still working on it.
I ended up voting twice. How do you remove a vote?
I think you just click on it, but it's, you're only allowed to vote for 6, so.
Yeah, I know.
You can right click to take a vote off.
Okay, well,
Yeah. Oh, yeah, they do enough for us. Anything we can do anything about.
Right.
Yeah. No, that seems to be happening.
Can't get people to understand that.
Oh, well, that's a threat or a reality.
That's the reality.
you know, not one person put up COVID on here, is it right?
Well, I think we're coming out of it. We're optimistic.
We are.
We are in blissful ignorance down here.
No, we're
It wasn't the biggest deal down here. We never ran out of toilet paper. We never, I mean, it just, we're already socially distanced.
This is farmer folk down here.
This is.
20 seconds
We'll
left.
do a little uniform paper.
You and your French.
Maybe
ways.
that's a threat.
You know, these toilet paper.
Hey,
Okay.
David.
I think we're
about
done. We're done, yes.
Well, you know, the Venezuelans had a bidet at their house.
Look it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, they did everything.
It was hooked up to the cold water line.
Aging population.
Okay, here we go. Not keeping up with a changing world.
Okay. Thank you very much. You've provided some great input for us to work with here in terms of strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Next, we'd like to pick your brain a little bit more about brainstorming some true ideas to help your community in the future. And I'm going to turn it over to Andrea for that. Andrea?
Yep. Thank you, Russ. That was great. And you guys will be professionals at using the Post-it note experience. And just make sure after you post your note, you move away from the Post-it note. And if don't click in white space, put your hands down when you're done inputting. So that you're not clicking all over the place. So now we're going to move into some brainstorming ideas. You've heard what your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats are. You know your community. We've looked at your community from an internet perspective and a visiting perspective, and we will be sharing some of those ideas with you. But now, given the chance to, the world is your oyster, you could be making changes that could bring more outdoor recreation to your community, capturing more tourism. And some of this could be very important for sustainability in light of COVID. I know we just talked about that. We feel like we're coming out of it, but everybody has shown that outdoor recreation was essential during this. It was one of the places, one of the ways that people could really get out and appreciate being outdoors, being with others distanced. And it was kind of a respite from the loneliness and isolation of COVID. Park use was up, trail use was up nationally. So this is a way that you can make yourself more resilient to future problems like that, and be capturing, are you capturing the true resources that you could from outdoor recreation on the Ohio River?
Could we be on the screen that's on the TV?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Just on that link.
Are we on the right one?
Go back.
Yeah, we gotta close this now.
All right, so we're going to bring up some ideas, just like you did with the SWOT analysis. We're going to try and generate as many ideas as possible. All ideas are good ideas. I'm not sure about that stripper one, but we can talk about that. And then I say wild and ambitious ideas are welcome. So yeah. People are encouraged to build on other ideas, so be reading the Post-it notes that people put up. And we're gonna take some time. If we were in person, we would have been handing out Post-it notes. You would have been putting them up on the whiteboard. We would have been rearranging them and having a great discussion about it. And unfortunately, this is the way that we have to do it, but we still would really like to capture your ideas. So Helen is going to share the next chat prompt with you in the chat box. Go on, you know how to do this. Go on and grab that link and go to the mural.
We got a few people underway already. Moving quickly. Making up for
can't
lost time. That's great.
I can't find my chat, so I'll be there in a minute. But in the meantime, given all that you've heard, what are some ideas for your community to enhance outdoor recreation opportunities on the river to promote tourism? What are some ways that you can improve the quality of life for your residents, capture the benefits of economic development, realize a quality of life improvement and health outcomes for your community by utilizing outdoor recreation? What are some ideas that you have to further engage your town with the Ohio River? That riverfront park that you have is amazing. When I saw the Google map pictures, is that an amphitheater there on the river?
It is.
That is an amazing resource and asset that you have on the river.
It is. When it's above the river, it's really helpful.
When it's above the river, and otherwise it's a swimming hole. There is, I don't know if Brewster, if you're familiar with this, but up on Lake Erie, there is a location called the Solstice Steps, and they're just concrete steps that overlook the lake. Those have been used so much. They are an attraction on the lakefront. And so what are some ways that you could maybe capture the use of that space in more productive ways that would make it an iconic piece of your community? What are some other ways that you can engage with the Ohio River Recreation Trail that we're developing? What are some ways that you can connect with the Lewis and Clark National Historic Trail that we showed you that tool of. Thinking of how big that is, and how do you capture those tourists who are interested in that aspect of the Ohio River?
Can we have a couple minutes just to work on this?
Absolutely, yes.
Absolutely, yes. This
Yep,
is a
I'm
very
just-
important part.
I'm just providing ideas. You can type in.
Like the music festival. I think primitive camping, group primitive camping, or group camping or primitive camping needs to be on there somewhere.
I'll type that in.
Okay,
Yeah, group camping is a huge thing to organizations that
right,
want to,
paddling, right.
right, even family reunions, we could market to a lot of different.
If you could type in also the historic river landings
Oh,
for
yeah,
the
and
two
the
farmsteads.
You know,
My machine doesn't work anymore.
Historic river landings at 2 farmsteads?
Yeah. One on Indian Creek and one on the Ohio River.
Right.
Anything else you'd like me to type in?
This might even be easier.
I think just finding ways to promote new businesses, that are that are entertainment, recreational, that kind of stuff, to get people to come to town and fill out a day. I mean, the problem right now we have is people come to town, but there's not enough to do to keep you occupied for the whole day.
And there's no place to stay.
And there's
They
no
want
place to
in
stay.
the store.
Right, it's
The
a
demand-
historic homestead without a lot of historic bed and breakfasts.
And we don't have house museums like Madison does, so people want to see, they want to go in, they don't want to stay at a Holiday Inn or, anything like that. The ones that come into the tourism office want a unique experience, and I don't think they're picky, they just want to stay someplace interesting. Well, they probably are picky too.
You get a lot of people who stay here. I don't care. I can't knock that, but they never go out.
That's an experience.
Yeah, like I,
Which is part of.
If we're still brainstorming, we can keep going. What do you think?
Yeah.
I think the,
Music festivals, do we
Yeah, it's on there.
Okay, all right. Where did I hear it? No, there was something that oh.
I think that one thing put on there, put niche. Getting like a small, instead of working on big festivals, get small groups of people who come to town, like for the Eggleston thing, for the
Absolutely,
goat thing, for
yeah.
Outlander things.
And again, the funky, quirky, artsy, quirky rural cool comes through.
you got that, the funky, yeah. Funky, quirky, that's it.
Funky, quirky strippers? Is that?
Funky, artsy, quirky, rural cool. Yeah, that's it.
I get 20.
I think something,
Thank you.
I think that there's a way to have a Ohio River story at the historic theater. Figuring out how to commission a play about the history of the Ohio River, because it's a historical theater.
We've actually had
Several stories.
several things like that. For the
Follow the
bicentennial, we
road.
did
Well,
it. Yeah.
So it's really historic plays at the theater is an opportunity.
Historic theater as site for Ohio River history. Does that get it, David?
That's very good.
Yeah.
That's very good.
I'm just going to throw out a couple more prompts so we can finish up. What about those historical connections? Are there other ones that can be made?
Yeah, we're doing a thing this fall on Edward Eggleston, who was a famous author from here. And the Hoosier Schoolmaster was his biggest claim to fame, but we have a film that's been saved from the National Archives. It's been restored. It was an old silent film that we're going to show as the grand unveiling of it at the theater.
We have the premiere rights.
We have the premiere rights for it.
That's cool.
Really cool.
The book was made into a movie like 4 times.
Yeah.
Another interesting opportunity is, I was talking to Martha today, and it turns out that the property adjacent to the Theobald farmstead that is owned by the industry on the other side wants to donate the property
Awesome.
if there's a use for it.
Well, they could be.
And so,
Land if they're,
is that Corning or who owns it?
Dow Corning.
Dow Corning owned property that could be expanded into a natural area.
or
I
a
think
boat landing.
We also have
Or a
the,
boat landing.
right, we also have the anniversary of A Girl Named Sooner coming up, movie that was made, filmed here.
Yeah, with Richard Crenna and Cloris Leach from
The girl
So-
thing.
Sooner.
In an effort to keep things moving, just a couple more things. Remember, we're brainstorming ideas here about how to engage your town with outdoor recreation in the Ohio River. Be thinking about how you can engage with the ORRT. Think about low-hanging fruit. What are some simple things that you could do?
I think that stand-up paddling and kayaking in a lot of the inlets that we have here would be a good thing.
Is the water
Cause it's
clear?
flat water, yeah, it's flat water, we can up creeks over by
Yeah.
Patriot all the time.
I think that bay by Patriot is perfect, that
Yeah.
Patriot Landing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a
Paddleboarding
perfect.
in Florence.
There's
Yeah.
good backwater.
Stand up paddleboarding.
Yeah.
Stand-up paddleboarding is huge.
Yeah. Florence has a big way up.
Florence has got a big backwater.
About that inlet goes up by the island or the peninsula that sticks out there, that whole place is really great to paddle, especially if you got kids, cause you don't have to worry about barges, boats, or. And you guys' landing down there, that's like the best landing along, Patriot, that's the best boat ramp ever.
Best river boat.
I think an opportunity is to promote fishing more on local websites. When I go on to the Switzerland County or vevay website, I don't think fishing's mentioned.
And there's good fishing.
Yeah, so it's mostly private.
But it's a
Okay.
destination,
Oh, and the beach at the dam.
the beach at the dam.
The beach at the dam.
I think it's the longest sandy beach on the Ohio River.
Has anybody really?
That's what I think.
Okay.
Has
Now we're gonna briefly try to categorize some of these things into short-term and long-term ideas. Ideally, if we had more time, we would do this more effectively. But just to get you thinking in terms of some of the ideas that you could try to capture quickly or short-term, low-hanging fruit, good opportunities that will be impactful. Short-term ideas are going to be things that are within 1 to 3 years. And long-term ideas are going to be things that are in 3 to 10 years. So we're just going to put some of these over into those categories. And I'll start and you guys could chime in and give us some ideas. We're going to spend about 5 minutes just on this. So some short-term ideas, and tell me if I'm getting these wrong, but like festivals, you could do those quickly, right? Events. I think events are great. What about?
This is Helen moving benches and swings to short
Okay.
term.
We do have a boat tie-up that's being put in down at the park, a cable for like canoes and canoes and kayaks that people would be able to lock their boats into.
Really?
Yeah.
So boater-friendly riverfront. We'll add a little detail on that.
We have new signage going in at the landing in vevay. It says out on the river, it'll say vevay landing with a big arrow going up and down.
I always thought it'd be nice if you had signs saying like Lowe's or Roxano's and how far it is.
We have a
and
big
the
sign
arrow.
that's gonna go up in the park, that's gonna have like a directory, but we were kind of waiting to get it done until we knew what restaurants were gonna bounce back after COVID. So, but we're at like Ais, and grocery store,
A lot of these are events that would be very easy to do within 1 to 3 years.
Yeah.
Creating a bike trail might take a little bit more time.
Voting on the websites could be something done in a short time.
Definitely.
I'd like to see the signage that we're doing in vevay, possibly expand to Patriot as well, because I think that's a really great spot. I think it's underutilized.
Florence is the only real harbor we have.
Right.
I mean, they actually have 2 harbors,
Right.
well, 3.
Marinas, yeah.
3 marinas,
Yeah.
3 harbors there. You can actually park your car,
And
boat
actually,
overnight.
you can actually rent a boat to sleep in overnight there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you can also rent overnight jackets, but they do.
So we're about halfway through this exercise and it's moving along pretty well. Do y'all have other things on the left that you recommend go to one of the 2 categories on the right, either short or long term?
I think the landings at the historic farmsteads is one that it may be longer than the 3-year plan,
Okay.
but I like it.
But you could always apply for technical assistance in the short term.
Yeah, true.
Tony, do you know, have you heard anything from the gravel pit, whether they're gonna rehab that area anytime soon?
Well, they had plans to years ago. You know, they showed us all on East Fork, a big picture of it, but.
Where is the gravel pit?
And Patriot.
It's huge, probably
It's
huge.
It's right upriver from Patriot.
What would they
Turning
do?
into a food truck garden.
Like red,
That's what it looked like.
sport,
See the plan?
camping,
Yeah.
fishing,
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
They're metropolitan.
And that's in Switzerland County.
Where they shattered that hole, they bank it all.
And you have a lake.
We have another brainstorming idea,
That's huge.
and that is to work with the abandoned gravel quarry.
It's not
It's
been
not
bad,
bad,
yeah.
yeah.
They're almost done.
It will be abandoned.
Very
That'd be-
yeah, and they have a
There's
affirmative duty to rehab the plans.
They can open part of that up to the water.
Did you hear that, Helen?
Say it again.
Work with the almost abandoned gravel quarry that is very large.
They're actually, I think they're still the largest land owners in Switzerland County.
Is that short or long term?
Yeah,
Long term.
Long term.
that would be long. Oh, yeah.
Oh, I see we got 2 Post-its floating around.
You do that.
All right.
Long term, there's a power plant right over here. Is that going away too?
So
They just spent a lot, I would say that was probably the last coal-fired car.
Well, I have a feeling they're keeping all those steel mills going.
All right.
They get
All right.
the power pretty close.
So, Helen, are you going to be able to do a voting?
We have entered the twilight zone again, where some of these are behind the thing we need to vote on.
Okay, well, we won't worry about that then. But you start to see that there are lots of opportunities that you could capture in the short term. And so those are just some ideas. We will be providing you with the output, the outcomes of this. And there will be more discussion about what to do with these ideas, as far as, you know, we had hoped to do some voting so that you could prioritize what these.
I think we can do that on the long-term ideas. We've got some strange mask interfering with the short term. Should we do that as a long-term idea?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna summon you there.
Maybe it's because things are outside the box.
I honestly can't figure out what is going on.
Okay, so.
But I'm about to start a voting session for long term, so be ready with your mouse finger, your trigger finger. There we go.
And keep in mind, this is not a perfect science. Some of these might be shorter term. And you're just voting for 3 that you think would be priority
Sure.
No, I can't get back in.
to develop in the long term.
Did you vote for you too?
David, David, if you want to throw their ideas into the chat, if people are having trouble accessing the screen.
Okay, or you can make
I
it,
can't even get back on Zoom.
I'll undo mine. I'd rather have your ideas than.
I think that's true.
What about Credo? Create alcohol.
Well, the votes are coming in well. Are there many more votes still to be cast there in the room?
You can buy it, but
It's an issue.
you can't drink down the street?
Well, they probably like you doing it at the park.
Oh,
You know, so if you go down there, I don't know if you're allowed to go down to the park and sit there and like have your lunch and drink a beer.
somebody told me that motorcycle people used to come here and drink beer.
I put the, create the alcohol zone downtown. I'm not sure how long your zoning is in the.
Yeah,
Historic.
up there at the
Very,
top,
no, it's in the left-hand corner.
This.
that one, yeah.
Oh, well, it's also in the left-hand corner, lower left-hand corner.
The,
Airbnb management group would be fantastic, wouldn't it? If we had somebody who's coordinating development, yeah, exactly.
Are y'all still voting?
You know,
Somebody who's coordinating.
I think support for historic homeowners.
I think I'll end the voting session. Is that good?
Very,
You know,
incentives, well, we have state programs that are really taking advantage of those. Nothing.
Is that done there, Dave? Bid?
Oh, I guess that's important.
that's great.
we have a couple more times here.
Counting down 10 seconds.
I just want to make the restaurant back quick.
All right, so you can look at the results here from the voting. You know, we have a limited crowd, but you are elected officials and important tourism people in the community, and your experience and your opinion holds value. So these, just because they're small numbers doesn't mean they're not valuable, and it really gives us a good barometer of what's happening in the community. So improve access to water for boaters. Some of that could be long-term, and you can also debate whether or not these are long-term or short-term. Long-distance bike trails, work with almost abandoned gravel quarry. And that creating the alcohol zone downtown, as I said, I'm not sure how quickly your zoning works. I know it took a while for my community to create a DORA, which is a downtown outdoor I'm not sure. Something where you can drink outside.
Dora the goat.
Okay, so that's good. It gives you an idea of what the potential is, and we will be revisiting those more in the future as we share with you. Okay. Helen, you want to?
I can summon everybody to short term, but I cannot figure out how to make all this voting work. And
Okay,
I just regret that we've got this complication.
we'll figure it out later.
Yeah.
Okay, do you want them to vote?
What were you thinking of?
I think it might be frustrating because some of the items here, let me try this. Let me just try moving this frame. See, some of them are stuck to the frame. That's the problem.
Okay, I think we'll just move on because we have 5 minutes left.
Yeah. Oops.
All right, so let me get back to my screen here.
Just while we're waiting, I just wanted to thank everybody for coming. And,
Of course.
and Tony, I really appreciate you coming to get that Patriot participation.
All right, so
Love it.
Thanks for asking.
The Army Corps is-
We usually don't get asked.
I took everybody down there when you were tour, and everybody just
Okay,
oohed and awed over.
all right, So thank you for participating in that. And we will be sending out some homework to you that involves some of your answers there, as well as some additional questions. We really invite you and urge you to complete that homework. It won't be long essay questions unless you want them to be. And you can expand upon your original ideas. We know that when you're driving home, you're going to go past that one place in vevay where there's a goat statue, and you're going to say, oh, I wish I would have thought of that for an opportunity or a short-term idea, or, whoa, we should have that kind of a festival or event or that business. So we know that these ideas are going to ferment and produce other fruit. So we invite you to keep thinking about it. Talk to your neighbors and your friends, because when we put out the homework, you will be able to capture more of those ideas. And one of the questions that we'll be asking is, what other contexts can be valuable partners here? What other people, partners, stakeholders can we engage that can help to improve the outdoor recreation in your community? We're going to ask you in the homework to visit the 3 websites that we mentioned: the Ohio River Recreation Trail, the digital guide, so you can see how that works, and the Lewis and Clark site. We will provide you with instructions with how your town and your businesses can engage with those websites. We're also going to ask you to describe a perfect day for a visitor in your community. Again, this doesn't necessarily need to be a big, long narrative, but maybe a few places that you would take people when they come. This really is impactful when we go to do our summary of the area, to know where it is that you're proud of and what you see as valuable assets in your community. So we invite you to share the work that you did today with others, and to generate more enthusiasm, support, and ideas in your community. We'll be emailing that to you in the near future. And the Rivertown Review team is going to be preparing a summary of all of the information that we've gathered: the desktop review, the site visits, the information that you provided us, the results from this workshop. And we will be providing you with an incredible packet of resources that you can use in your community: funding resources, planning resources, great ideas that you can use. And we also want to invite you to participate in our 2021 Rivertown Review Summit on October 14th in Lawrenceburg, Indiana. We're going to bring all of these river towns together to learn from each other what some of their best management practices are, what successes they've had, what challenges they have, and how we can share to overcome those, and how we can work together to leverage the Ohio River, the Ohio River Recreation Trail, and each other to develop the outdoor recreation industry and tourism opportunities in your community. So this is our last slide, but I wanted to open it up for questions or comments before we sign off. So anything in there, David, with the vevay folks, the vevay folks?
Questions, any thoughts?
Where do we access all the photos that the guys took when they were here?
I can send you the 2 links. They're on Dropbox, and I think I sent them to you already, but I'll send them again. And the trick is you should download them in the next month, because they take the Dropboxes only has so much capacity. But they're also willing to come back. If you have a specific thing you want to get photographed, they're willing to come back according to their schedule. So if you have some sort of special thing, the one guy who, Joe, one of the things he does is product placement. He works now for Apple and does all the TV commercials and where they make them. So he flies around the country, and turns out they take photographs in depth of 50 different places, and then they go to their ad people and say, which ones do you like? And then he organizes all of that. So
They took a lot of pictures.
Yeah, we'll get you the links
That's
for
very
sure.
cool. No, thank you.
We'll get you the links for sure.
Well, and I just wanted to say on behalf of the Rivertown Review team, the National Park Service, and the chairman of the ORRT, that thank you very much for having us in your community.
Absolutely.
And very exciting to learn about these small river towns. I can't wait till the day when we can actually go and visit.
Here's another interesting deal, and Jack, you might talk about it. Right upstream from us, we're doing this exact same thing with Lawrenceburg and Aurora, and people are welcome to log on and listen to what's going on upstream. Why don't you give a commercial on what day it is?
Yes, thank you. We're meeting on Tuesday, May 18th, so just next Tuesday. We have a morning session with Lawrenceburg, be an hour and a half, and then an afternoon session with Aurora, a Zoom session identical to this, although we need to truncate the agenda a little bit. So if you'd like, I could send the Zoom link down to John Charles Smith or the other team members, Andrea, and you could share that with anybody.
And the idea is don't vacation in Lawrenceburg, come to vevay. And I want to have one more person talk, and that's Brewster. And because he has a big event coming up in August called the Paddlefest. And so how can vevay be involved? Can they come on up and bring a delegation, have a booth?
Well, yes, we can talk about the details on the booth, but Paddlefest is the 7th of August. It's become the largest paddling event in the country. We'll have 2,000 people jump in the Ohio River and paddle 9 miles, no power boats, no barges, with a festival the night before for outdoor recreation, biking, paddling, everything else you can imagine, and overnight camping. So it's a gas, and it's a great way to show off the Ohio. So thank you.
What day is that again?
It's on the, thank you very much. It's on the 7th of August, and the website is ohioriverpaddlefest.org. And we can arrange for vevay to have a booth to promote outdoor recreation opportunities in the town, or and Switzerland County, obviously. So, yeah, think about it. It's a big deal. It's our 20th anniversary this year. So
I
thank you.
plan on paddling back from Cincinnati to Louisville, so I'll stop here in vevay on the way and have a hamburger.
And I'll be coming through vevay the middle of July with a gentleman celebrating his 60th birthday by paddling from Cincinnati to Louisville. So we'll be spending 4 days in the river, and I think we'll be spending the night there middle of July.
Great. Let us know. Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
all.
Thank you, Helen, for your patience and persistence with this technology.
Absolutely.
Gotta learn it.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye.